I wanted to give you a quick tutorial on how to add, modify, and delete items in WordPress. For this tutorial, I'm going to use the Wellness Family Practice website, and I'll discuss the major need-to-know ways to work with WordPress. This won't be an in-depth tutorial on WordPress, but just enough so that you'll be able to handle editing tasks internally. To begin, we need to go to the admin section of the site, and to do that, we need to add /wp-admin/ to the wellness URL in the browser window. The full address will now be www.wellnessfp.com/wp-admin/. Press enter on the keyboard. Incidentally, I'm using a Firefox on a Mac computer, but the screen should look the same for other browsers or PCs. Here we are at the login page for the admin area. I'll add my login information and press the login button. And this brings up the admin dashboard area. The admin section contains multiple menus with dozens of options to change the way the site will be presented to the internet. I have to advise caution to not randomly check config boxes unless you know what the result will be. Otherwise, there is a possibility the site could be damaged. I don't want to make you fearful of working on the web page itself. I just want to advise caution. I will steer you to the areas where making modifications will have the least impact and can be quickly corrected. The dashboard itself is an interesting place with various tidbits concerning the site and WordPress, but you'll probably find it too techy to spend too much time with. So we'll move on to the important material. The first place we want to visit will be located in the menu bar running down the left side of the page. We are looking for users. Our first stop will be All Users menu, which contains only one user, me. You will see my email address and that my role is administrator. Administrator privileges are very important. They allow you access to every area in the admin area and the ability to set and modify configuration items. You will have full control over everything dealing with the web pages. Now I want to show you how you can add a new user. We want to add Debbie Adderson as a new user, so we'll go to the Add New menu button and click on it. This brings us to the Add New User page where we have a fill-in form to add the necessary credentials to make Debbie a new user. Note that some input areas are required while others are optional. Type in a username, email address, first name, last name, and a password. We'll use Adderson1 as the username. The email will be Debbie's email. Her first name is Debbie. Last name Adderson. And her password, I like to use a long, complicated password. So I'm going to give her this one. She can change it later if she'd like. See, it's a strong password, which means it's harder for the hackers to get through. I like to use long, complicated passwords that don't make any sense and contain upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and some punctuation characters. This is to make the job of hackers more difficult to get into the admin area. Simple or logical passwords are just begging hackers to come inside. You can click on a box to send the new user's password via email. This box, incidentally, is typical of the hundreds of little configuration checkboxes found in the admin area. Finally, you have to select a role for the new user, and Debbie will be an administrator. Can only manage their profile. A contributor can write and manage their own posts but cannot publish them to the internet. An author can write and publish their own posts. An editor can publish and manage posts, including the posts of other users. The administrator has full access to the administrative features within a single website. Once all the boxes are filled in and reviewed, click on the Add New User button to add Debbie to the list of users. Now on the All Users list, you can see Debbie as a new user. Her new user name, her actual name, her email, and her role. This data can be changed except for the username by moving the cursor below Debbie's username, clicking on Adderson1, and you can see a little edit box and a delete pop-up. Clicking the delete link will delete the user completely. Clicking the edit will allow you to make changes. Be sure to click on Update User to make your changes permanent. We'll now return to the admin dashboard, and we look now to the most important menu item called Pages. Pages in WordPress are the texts that are of a permanent nature that stay up on the website continually. That would be items like the About Us page, the Contact Us page, personal bios, and so on. These pages will be shown in the menu located at the top of the regular internet page, right up in this area where the menu is. In the Pages menu, we can select all pages to see a list of all the pages on our site. The Wellness homepage is called No Title, which is odd, but I think it works. We can click on the Edit link under the page title, the same as Edit Delete links we saw earlier with users. Clicking on Edit is the way we edit or modify the items on the page. Click on Edit and the Edit page area comes up. This is where we add things to our page, delete things, or modify what is currently there. The first item on the page is a box for the title. Now, as an aside, I have created a page called Home To, which is an exact duplicate of the original home page, and here is where we can do our work without disturbing the published website on the internet. The first item on the page is a box for the title. If you change this, it will change the way the page appears in the menu. The no title we gave the page originally means it does not show in the menu at the top of the page, so we leave the title untouched. Moving down, we come to a Use Default Editor button. It is very important that we not click on this button, otherwise we would change the way the page looks completely. Temporarily, we will ignore the WordPress SEO by Yoast box. This is primarily used to help the way the wellness page will show up in Google, Bing, Ask, or Yahoo web searches. We will fill in this area later if it hasn't been filled in so far. Next, we scroll down to the area marked Page Builder. This is where we do all the modifications for this page, the home page. This area is a little complicated, but not impossible to understand. Basically, the Page Builder is a group of items stacked on top of each other that give our site its layout design. First, there are sections. These are the long boxes that go across the builder. One has a blue bar on the left side, and it is the actual width of the site, usually about 1080 pixels. This section usually fits into an area that has white around it, and there are sections called full width sections that run the full width of the computer screen. This section will have a purple color on the left-hand side. There will be no white on the left and right-hand sides of the section. This gives the illusion that the site is very large and fills the computer screen. I'll now demonstrate how these sections work in relation to the home page. The box here indicates the 1080 pixel wide area that is our actual home page. And you will see that that pretty much follows all the way down the page. Note the box saying providing superior individualized care. This is the full width section, and notice the gray, light gray box extends from both sides of the browser screen. So it creates the optical illusion that this is a wider page than it really is. Inside these sections are rows that can be divided up into and contain the elements of the site's text, images, and so on. These rows are marked with a green box on the left side, and inside the rows are modules that contain specific types of information, such as text, images, sliders, and other items. And now I'll demonstrate how the sections work. So here's the section. These are the rows, and you can add new rows by clicking on this box. See, new rows come up. You can insert columns into the new rows by clicking here, and what you add are, you can either have a column that runs all the way across the section, or you can have it divided into 4 little pieces, or one piece that's small, 1/4 size, and the other is 3/4 size, two half-quarter sizes and a half size, and so on. So you pick the grouping of items that you'd like to have in this particular area. So let's just, for grins, we'll call it this one. And then you'll notice that there are two boxes. One is the 1/4 box and one is the 3/4 box, and it says Insert Modules. Clicking here, we can insert either an image, and we'll discuss images later, and over here we can add, let's say text. So we have a text module and an image module. Notice that they fit directly underneath the slider, and if I want to delete one of these modules, like for instance the text module, I just click on these X's over here, and there it goes. Click on this X if I want to get rid of it. If I want to get rid of the whole section, I can just click on this X. Or clicking on this box, it looks like a television screen, will duplicate the module. Notice I've duplicated the slider module, so we want to get rid of that. The top section of the page builder area contains the slider. The slider is the part of the home page where the images change after a few seconds and continues cycling through the 6 images. That's this area here. If we click on the 3 dashed lines called a hamburger menu, because it looks like a hamburger patty between 2 slices of bun, this reveals the slider module settings. At the top, you have a display of the 6 slides making up the slider. Clicking on the hamburger menu on each slide will show a page with options for the slide, plus a small version of the slide itself. For now, we just make any changes necessary, and I'll demonstrate adding a new slide here very shortly. Then click Save at the bottom, and we're back on the slider module settings pages. Okay, let's say we want to add a new slide to replace the child getting a shot. If we click on the 3 dashed lines called a hamburger menu, because it looks like a hamburger patty between 2 slices of bun, this reveals the slider module settings. At the top of the settings, you have a display of the 6 slides making up the slider. Clicking on the hamburger menu of each slide will show a page with options for the slide, plus a small version of the slide itself. I'm now going to show how we could modify these slides. The second slide shows a child getting immunized, and Debbie had told me she wanted some other shot because they no longer do child immunizations. So to remove this image from slot number 2, we highlight all of the text in this background image, hit the delete key, and boom, it's gone. Now, to change an image, we upload an image. This brings us to the media library, and there's a section called Upload Files, and we click on that. The media library, before I do that, shows all of the photos that we've used in the website so far. So I'm going to click on the Upload Files, and it says drag files anywhere to upload, or you can select files. If you select the files, you get a menu of, let's say, one of your pages, like for instance the desktop, which is where I have the slide I want to use. And it shows all the things on the desktop, and I pick the slide I want, and then I click Open. I can cancel this and also just simply upload it, which means I get the slide I want to use, which is called Immunization. I drag it into this area and it turns blue. And now it starts loading in the left-hand side of the box. And for some reason, these are grayed out, but it doesn't matter because they still work like they're supposed to. On the right, we see a little box that has the name of the file, the date it was created, the size of the file, the complete file size, how many bytes are in the file, 64 kilobytes. The file is 960 pixels wide by 360 pixels high. We can edit the image here by changing some of these numbers, like if we wanted to change the size, or we could click on this delete permanently link and then permanently delete the picture out of the media library. We want to keep it, so we're not going to delete it. The URL here points to the spot where the image is located. We call the file immunization, and we have an alternate text area here. We want to fill that in as well because that's for blind or sight impaired people who are surfing the internet and they've come to our page and they have to use a voice reader to go through all of the file setup for our page. And it will say immunization rather than just photo, which is meaningless to them. So once we have it set in the way we want it, we click Set as Background. Now the image is in the slide settings. We click Save, and I'll save it again. We can preview the changes up here, and we see what our work has done. And then we click on the second page, which we click on the dot underneath the photo, and there we have a new immunization photo. So that's how we can change images in the slider. Further, we could actually move these slides. Just grab them and move them. Let go, and then the slide will be in whatever position we let go. There's an option here where you can add new slides. I caution you to have a pretty good photographer who can match the style of the stock images I used in the slider. Otherwise, the site could start looking run down. The photographer should know how to work Adobe Photoshop and or Lightroom to process the images to their fullest. Below the slide stack are some options. The arrows box gives you the option to hide or show the little arrows to the left and right side of the images. Clicking on the left arrow will manually send the slide back the number of times the arrow is clicked. Clicking on the right-hand arrow moves the slides toward the number of times you click. And let me just demonstrate that real quick. Here are the arrows on the left and right side. So if I click to the right, it'll advance one notch. If I go back, it'll go back one notch, or 2 notches. We also have the little dots at the very bottom of the image where we can select which slide we want to go. Say we want to go to the 5th slide. We just click on the 5th dot. It takes us right there. The Controls button allows you to show or hide the little dots at the bottom of the image, which I pointed out to you earlier. Clicking on each dot will advance the slides manually to the image selected. Automatic animation will select how the slides fade into or back and forth to each other. Automatic animation speed will time the duration of the fade between slides at 7,000 milliseconds right now is the current amount, and it seems to work just fine. Parallax effect freezes the slide in position as you scroll down the page. I don't normally use this because it screws up the layout to a certain degree. Click Save to save all your work. This concludes part 1 of editing pages in WordPress.